Okay, so I got the first video uploading right now. I think it's gonna work. So the first thing I'll do is show you what we did on the front end. The front axle I have now is still a Dana 30, which I put an ox locker, 488 gears, chromoly shafts, Timken hubs and bearings. Pretty much the whole axle has been redone, and I just pretty much just kept the tubing, the axle housing. It's the ox cable locker. It's about $1,000 for the locker, but great investment. Then I have, I believe it's the Iron Rock oven knuckle crossover steering, which it's okay. It's not the greatest. For the price, you can go out and buy something better, I think, in my opinion. But it works for now. I've had to straighten it a couple times because I've bent it. But it is a lot sturdier than your factory. But it does cost $450. Which, if you still have the stock TJ steering on there, you can do the Grand Cherokee, the ZJ tie rod, which is a way better tie rod than the stock TJ hollow tube. Okay, on the lower arms now in the front, basically what I did, and yes, I know my welds aren't the greatest. I had a buddy with a machine shop. He cut me out these pockets, welded them on. These are rock crawler lower arms, and like I said, I built them basically like a radius arm style. And what I did with the front arms, I turned them upside down. This bend is supposed to be up going down. I did it this way, so if you can see, it actually helps protect my drive shaft on the driver's side. Gives it more of a guard over there, so if I do hit something, it's gonna hit that arm before it hits my drive shaft. I've sheared a couple drive shafts off before on rocks, so figured this way I can give it a little bit of protection on there. But basically, just made some pockets to weld on top of the arm here. And this upper arm I made from scrap. The arm on the driver's side was the third link to this long arms kit that we took off of my buddy's XJ, which he's building a complete custom buggy, and all this stuff came off of his. So I just recycled it on here and made my own long arm kit for it. Well, for the front anyways. Which on the front here, I've had to redo the passenger side mounts. I ripped them off on the trail. So I bought some aftermarket mounts for the upper and lower. Re-welded them on. I did some bracing and skid plates on the front. Let me see if I can. I'm hoping I got everything. I can't see on the camera by what it's picking up. But basically this is how I built the front long arm. I wanted to eliminate the upper arms so I have as much drop as possible, because I am still running a front track bar, and I didn't want to do a triangulated 4-link, which that would have cost me a lot more to do, and it would have been a lot more time, and I would have had to been a lot more exact with everything. This setup right here is pretty forgiving. You can be off on your measurements a little bit and still get great flex out of it. I do go through upper bushings on the axle on the driver's side quite a bit because my angle's off a little bit, and at full flex it chews up the bushing. One of these days I'm going to get to and build a different arm for the other side to get the angle right. Now this is the Rubicon Express belly pan. It was for an 03 Rubicon, which doesn't fit the 02 TJ, but we made it fit. What we did is we took the frame stiffeners here, and I basically cut them out with the plasma cutter to make them fit around these body mounts, and then I welded the whole frame stiffener plates from the kit to the frame. Re-drilled all my holes here because the holes are completely different on a TJ, on an 02 TJ, than they are on the 03 Rubicon. So we just re-drilled all the holes, and then after we had it all lined up and set right, because there's about 18 bolts that have to hold the center pan on, so it took a little bit of adjusting here and there. Once we had everything centered up, I bolted it on, and then I stitch welded the plates that hold the pan on. We pretty much just the skid belly pan is going to go with the Jeep. You're not taking it back off, but it does work great. And it was from one of our local full supply stores. They've had it hanging on the wall for quite a while and ended up getting it for a good deal, so it wasn't that big of a deal to make it fit. Whatever you have to do to save a couple dollars. These rear arms, I actually found these off of Craigslist. They are the TJ 5.5 inch rock crawler long arms for the rear. I had some XJ mounts that he needed for his long arm kit for the front, so we basically ended up doing a straight across trade. So these were free. I did have to replace the lower bushings and joints on here. His were shot. I built the uppers myself, 1.5 inch 250 wall tubing with some weld-in bungs and heim joints with some misalignment spacers. Once we had this belly pan on, I just ended up going right off of the mounts off the belly pan. Which worked out pretty good. This thing will be eventually triangulated 4-link, or maybe even a double triangulated 4-link, but for now it works great, and I can keep up with quite a few people. The rear is a Dana 44, also chrome ollie, Timken hubs and bearings in here. Change out the yokes there. I can't remember what, either Spicer yokes. Yeah, I'd be lying right now. I don't remember which yokes I got, but I also did front and rear. I did these U-bolt style U-joint mounts right here, the clamps, because I've sheared off a couple of these and lost the drive shaft on the trail, which will literally really piss you off. So I went to these, and then to keep a couple spares on it. These are going to be a lot harder to strip off of there. Since the last time, I do have the SYE kit in here, but the rear is the Dana 44 chrome ollied, and I have the rear is mini spooled with also 48 gears, of course, and then I have the Curry adjustable rear track bar, which went out yesterday for a test run after I broke the front a little bit. Hang on, let me skip to the back and I'll show you what I did here yesterday. So that's what jumping it and bouncing it off of rocks will do. Broke them out right in half, so I'm gonna have to get back here and push this back together, re-weld it, and then I'm gonna plate it and box it in more. It'll just have to do for now. And like I said, these are actually, I blew out this shock too with it, but these are the Dodge 3500 shocks on the rear, and obviously it was a little too much for this shock too, but ouch. And on the rear I have Yep, that was me dropping the flashlight on my head. I have the Riddler diff cover, which these things hold up to a lot of damage. Great investment. On the exhaust, this thing is a trailer queen now, basically, since it's spoiled in the rear. I just ended up chopping to make the exhaust off. Did an 18-inch MagnaFlow glass pack on here and just dumped it right here behind the belly pan. I could still run this thing on the street, but with the rear being spoiled, I don't want to shoot up the tires, so I didn't really care too much about the cat and everything. So, and it sounds a lot better this way. Alright, I'm gonna stop this video and then I'll get back to some other ones. And in the meantime, when you guys see these videos and you have questions about other stuff or want more detailed on how or what I did to build it or make it fit, just ask. I'm making these videos for everybody else who wants to do their own stuff or who just wants to build their own Jeeps in the garage. And I'm not saying these are the best ways to do it. It works. I've been running the crap out of this thing for about 2 years now like this. And I keep up with buggies. I can't follow them everywhere, but for what this thing is, I can keep up very well. But like I said, this isn't perfect or anything, just showing you guys. I know there's some of you guys out there that have a Jeep, want to do it, can't afford to buy the $7,000 lift kits, and you got a welder and grinder in the garage and you know how to work them. That's all we did here, and it's cheap. The suspension, I probably have maybe 200 bucks into it, and it's a complete long arm kit. So like I said, if you have any questions on how to do something or problems that I've ran into or problems that you're running into, just ask.